guess I didn't see him. What are you looking so sad about, Jack?
I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, wait, one time during my career, I fumbled one tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Miss Cass, just do boxing. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cat Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, all-time greatest. All-time greatest. Mike Grimm in the building. Salute, Mike. How are you this afternoon? We're going to look at, again, 6 categories of the best. We're going to look at some of Lennox Lewis's best fights today. We are going to look at some of the best middleweight fights in history. Some of the best light heavyweight fighters of all time. The best Mexico-Puerto Rico fights. Some of the best welterweight fights of all time. And we're going to take a look at Jersey Joe Walcott. All that today on Cat Sports, the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. How's the family today? It's Tuesday, still early. in this big week of boxing history. In fight week for the big one. We are another Riyadh season. The main event is David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde, but that's not the one everybody waiting for. Y'all know what everybody waiting for. B. Norman and Devin Haney. That's what we're waiting for. That's been the talk of this card ever since it was announced. And it's this weekend. What is that? Like 3 days away? Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? Can't count Tuesday because we already started Tuesday. So I guess we got the final press conference will be Thursday, the weigh-in Friday, and then they throw hands Saturday. Devin Haney, Brian Norman. But a good card too. Like I said, headlined by Benavidez and Yarde, and Abdullah Mason, Sam Noakes on there. Bam Rodriguez on the card, a great card. It's like 3 championship fights on there, right? So wow, that's this weekend. One of the big ones of the year. And the information I've been hearing, 26 going to start out with a bang. Yeah. So we're ending up with a bang, and then 2026 straight ahead. Got some big names in there. Somebody told me that Shakur and Slick Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez is happening. Yeah. So Shakur gonna go in there and demonstrate as usual on Teofimo this time. But hey, that's early in the year, so wow. Looking forward to 2026, but looking forward to this weekend, the big one. Okay, Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr. Okay, but right now, we're going to get ready to get into our fight of the day. We got a good fight of the day today. So let's get to it. Let's holler at the studio audience first. Okay. The fight of the day today is James Scott versus Eddie Gregory. Later became Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, but right now, Eddie Gregory. Okay. James Scott was the guy that was in prison. And they were going to the prison to have these fights. Taking the cameras and everything in there, the commentators. Sugar Ray, Howard Cosell, they all went into the prison to call these fights. So let's talk about this. This is amazing. This guy was that good where they went to Rahway State Prison. He was a top 10 ranked contender, had him in the rankings and everything. And all the time he was in prison, right? Yep. James Scott. I was stalling because I didn't have it ready, but now we ready. Okay. So we got James Scott versus Eddie Gregory. October 12th, 1978. The Rahway State Prison contender. Scott versus Gregory. The Rahway State Prison contender. October 12th, 1978. This is amazing. There he is. See the bars behind him? We'll salute to Just Do Boxing coming up at 4 with that balanced, unbiased boxing talk. And Mike Grimm, salute. Okay? Now, yeah, Scott versus Gregory, October 12th, 1978. Remember, Eddie Gregory became Eddie Mustafa Muhammad later. He changed his name, but at the time of this fight, he was still Eddie Gregory. Now, it remains one of the more unlikely episodes in all of boxing history. A convicted criminal locked inside a maximum security state penitentiary not only competed in sanctioned professional boxing matches, but performed on national television from the prison and was officially ranked at the top of the light heavyweight division. Okay? Yeah. had fights broadcast from the prison on national television and was ranked in the top 10 of the light heavyweight division. A twisted Cinderella story of the sordid kind. It captured the imaginations of millions of American sports fans before the clock eventually struck 12. It all came to an end. But it was fascinating when this was going on, right? Imagine that, a guy locked up in prison, a top 10 contender in the division, and HBO, everybody going in and taking the cameras into the prison, all the contenders going into the prison for these fights, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the tale begins in 1965 when James Scott, at the age of 18, found himself in Trenton State Prison, a facility which happened to have a boxing program. There, Scott actually sparred with famous inmate and former top middleweight contender Rubin Hurricane Carter, who encouraged Scott to develop his talent. But released from prison in 1968, Scott soon got into trouble with the law again, was convicted of robbery, this time sent to New Jersey's Rahway State Prison. It was there that Scott devoted himself seriously to boxing and eventually became the state prison boxing champion. There's a nice shot of Scott right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, eventually became the state prison boxing champion. Yeah, Rahway is in New Jersey too, Rahway State Prison. In 1974, Scott was released again. And this time he was determined to make it on the outside as a fighter. He showed tremendous promise, competing 11 times in 13 months against formidable competition. The match is staged in Miami Beach by veteran promoter Chris Dundee, who was Angelo Dundee's older brother, Chris Dundee, right? Now, Scott scored victories in all of the fights but one. And that fight was declared a draw after the referee deducted 2 points from Scott for a vicious retaliatory low blow. So he would have won all of them, but he had those 2 points taken. It ended up being a draw. So he was a very good fighter. So, impressed by his obvious talent, Ring Magazine ranked the ex-con number 8 in the world rankings, in their rankings. Ring Magazine put him in at number 8. Now, it appeared the James Scott tale would have a happy ending, that the ex-con was on his way to a successful boxing career. But, always got to hit that but. But in May of 1975, Scott got mixed up in a violent robbery, which left one man dead. Now, while not found guilty of the murder, Scott was a repeat offender, and a new conviction put him right back in Rahway State Prison, now for a much longer period of time, a minimum of 30 years, okay? Other times have been not little minor things where, you know, he wasn't in there a few years, he was out, but this time he ended up with 30 years, okay? But from behind the stone walls of Rahway State Prison, Scott took up where he left off on the outside. And when he had been in Trenton State, he started dominating the state prison boxing program. And his success inspired a new fan. Prison Superintendent Robert Headtrack, who promised Scott that if someone could be found to finance boxing matches at the prison, he would do everything possible to help him continue his career inside the prison, right? Now, fledgling New Jersey promoter Murad Muhammad agreed to stage fights at Rahway. And before the end of 1978, Scott, incredibly, had 2 more legit pro wins on his record. There's a shot of Scott in his cell right there. Irony Boxing is in the building. Salute RNA Boxing. How are you today? Fighter of the day is James Scott. This man was actually in prison, ranked in the top 10 in several sanctioning bodies, and contenders outside the prison was actually going into prison to fight him, and the HBO was taking their cameras in there, televising the fights. Amazing. Well, salute RNA Boxing. Let's continue. That's where we're at so far. This title, the Rahway State Prison Contender. Okay. And Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey, where Rahway is at. What's up, RP? Salute. Okay. So, yeah, that's a shot of Scott in itself. Right? Man was in prison, ranked. Now, few were paying much attention to the oddity of a convict pursuing a pro boxing career from inside a prison. But that changed thanks to the World Boxing Association and HBO. Now, the WBA had decided to overlook the fact that Scott was incarcerated and continued to rank him among the top 10 best light heavyweights in the world. This meant, at least in theory, that the inmate was eligible for a chance at the WBA version of the world light heavyweight title from prison, right? Meanwhile, a brand new cable network called Home Box Office, or HBO, decided that televising Scott's fights from Rahway State Prison would make for intriguing and potentially lucrative broadcasting fare. When the WBA's number one contender, Eddie Gregory, who would later change his name to Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, agreed to face Scott, HBO brought their cameras to the prison, billing the show Boxing Behind Bars. And of course, Gregory had to agree to go in there and fight him, right? Boxing Behind Bars. HBO actually took their cameras into the prison to televise this fight. Now, most found the whole thing difficult to take seriously and tagged Scott as a long shot underdog against the more experienced Gregory. With a record of 29 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, Gregory was both a legit top contender and a skilled boxer. While Scott, at 12 wins, no losses, 1 draw, was comparatively inexperienced and untested, not to mention in prison, right? Not to mention in prison. After all, Gregory had faced truly serious talents in Matthew Franklin, Benny Briscoe, and Victor Galindez, and was in line for a title shot against new WBA champion Mike Rossman. Surely, he wouldn't step into Rahway to face Scott if the inmate represented a threat to his high ranking, right? This was a sideshow, a curiosity, and a tune-up for Gregory before a championship fight. That's what everybody thought going into this fight. This is just a sideshow. Gregory just going in there for the tune-up. They probably paid him extra to go to the prison and fight. HBO trying to make some money off of this prison boxing thing. So Gregory went on in there to fight him, and there's a shot of Gregory, right? So Gregory said, yeah, I'll go in there and fight him, right? Later became Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. So, now this is Gregory. Gregory said, they say Scott is tough, but how tough can he be? Asked Gregory. So he fought a couple of stiffs inside the walls, and he knocked them out. I'll carry him for 11 rounds to give him a show, and then knock him out in the 12th round. It'll be a good workout for me. And so Eddie entered the Rahway Prison Auditorium, completely unprepared for what awaited him. From the opening bell, Scott, who was in extraordinary condition, attacked like an unleashed pit bull. Because, this man in prison, he don't have time to do nothing but work out, right? So he was in excellent shape. And he attacked like an unleashed pit bull from the first bell. He was clearly the stronger of the two, and his unceasing aggression forced Gregory to concentrate on defense and little more. Gregory sidestepped some of the convicts' attacks and often rolled with the big punches thrown his way. But as early as round 2, Scott was consistently landing clean shots. And in the 3rd round, he began to dominate, bullying Gregory about the ring and scoring heavy body blows. There they are in the midst of the battle. That's Scott on the left with the bald head, right? Yeah, so Scott started to actually dominate him. He was just too strong and determined for Gregory. By round 4, even the most skeptical of spectators had to admit the truth. This was against all expectations, turning into a one-sided ass-kicking in favor of Rahway inmate number 57735. Okay? Turned into a one-way beatdown for inmate 57735. Gregory's left eye was almost swollen shut, and he had no effective answer for Scott's strength, power, and constant attacks. The prisoner was grinding down the supposed top contender for the light heavyweight title, winning round after round. And the only question was if Eddie could make it to the final bell. It got that bad by the middle rounds. Everybody started asking if Eddie was going to make it to the final bell, right? Going into the last round, Eddie's corner told him he needed a knockout to win. But it was Scott, not Gregory, who attacked like a 175-pound version of Jake LaMotta and punished his opponent with a series of heavy blows. In the end, Gregory won at best 3 rounds. Okay. It is Scott. Scott came out the winner. Gregory won at best 3 rounds. Inmate 57735 celebrates this upset win. Purdy Pacheco went in the bid to train him. Purdy was a big-time trainer, too. Yep. He went in there to train Gregory. So, after the unanimous decision was announced, Scott immediately called out WBA champion Mike Rossman, predicting he would take care of him even easier than he had Gregory. Scott said, it won't go 4 rounds. Now, Jimmy DiPiano, Rossman's father and manager, happened to be ringside. Yeah, all these big-time boxing people was going into the prison for these fights. That's how good Scott was. And Mike Rossman, the WBA champion's father and manager, happened to be ringside for the fight. And on his way out of the prison, as he was leaving, he was asked about his son, the champion, coming to Rahway to face Scott. He said, it's going to take an awful lot of money before I let my son in the same ring with that monster. Yeah, he said it's going to take some money to put his son in there with that monster, right? The victory shocked the boxing world, and the strange odyssey of James Scott became headline news, his face appearing in newspapers all over the country and national magazines. The major television networks now anxious to broadcast his fights. See, HBO started it, going in, taking the cameras in there, broadcasting the fights. Now all of them, NBC, ABC, CBS, they all trying to get in there now, getting on that money. And this man was good. Gregory was the number 3 contender, and he beat him easily, right? So all the major networks are now anxious to take their cameras into the prison and broadcast his fights. Now, many wondered if he might, in fact, become boxing's first inmate world champion, as 1979 proved a banner year for the prisoner. He went on to score 5 major victories, all of them against serious opposition, including one-sided beatdowns on national television over experienced contenders Richie Cates and Yaki Lopez. Yaki Lopez was a huge name in the light heavyweight division. He went into the prison to face this man and got beat down. Okay, Scott was not only beating him, he was beating him down. There was now no question that Scott was the top contender for the light heavyweight championship of the world. And for a brief time, it appeared he just might achieve his dream of punching his way out of jail. If he would have got the light heavyweight championship, they would have pulled some strings and he would have came up out of that prison. Forget that 30 years. You know, money talks. If he would have got that title, they would have got him up out of there. But it wasn't to be. Yeah, that's him and Dwight Braxton. Now, the story behind, what's up, Al Booger? Salute. Talking about the prison contender. He actually, and they used to take the cameras into the prison, Al Booger, and broadcast his fights, and it actually made it to the #1 contender. Now, that's him and Dwight Braxton right there. And Dwight Braxton used to actually be in that prison, right? And when he got out, he went back in there and fought Scott, okay? But he used to actually be an inmate in there. That's Braxton on the left, ducking down. So, yeah. If he would have got the light heavyweight title, they would have got him up out of there. Ain't no doubt about it. Money talks, right? But the unlikely tale did not have a happy ending. All of Scott's attempts to lure Rossman to Rawway or to get special permission to fight for the title outside of prison went nowhere. Yeah, Rossman wouldn't go in there and fight him. Remember, his father said it's going to take a lot of money for me to take my son in there and fight that monster. So he couldn't lure Rossman inside. They wasn't trying to let him out to fight. Yeah, because, you know, to get that kind of pass, with the kind of time he had, only thing really get him a pass is like a immediate family member death or something like that. So, yeah, because he had some serious time. And he was involved in a robbery where somebody got killed. So, nah, they wouldn't let him go on no pass. No, but he would have got that title. They would have got him out. But Rossman wouldn't go in and he couldn't get out to fight on a pass. And then the WBA abruptly decided that having a convict and repeat offender as their mandatory challenger for the world title didn't make much sense. And they removed Scott from their ranking. That's when the end began, beginning of the end. The WBA removed him from their rankings, right? Now, Scott kept fighting, but in 1980, he suffered a huge setback when Jerry the Bull Martin came to Rawway and knocked him down and won by a decision. 2 more fights followed, but after being defeated by future champion Dwight Braxton, Scott retired. He became Dwight Kari Muhammad. And again, Dwight Braxton, he used to actually be in that prison, right? But when he went and fought Scott, he had got released, but he went back in and fought him and he beat Scott. The Drunk Irishman, Kensaw Love 1 in the building. Salute, my people. How are y'all today? Kensaw Love 1, the Drunk Irishman in the building. Fighter today. This was an amazing story. This guy was in prison, taking the cameras in there, the contenders going in and fighting. He made it all the way to #1. But then when the WBA pulled him from their rankings, that was the beginning of the end there. But wow. Imagine that a guy in prison making it to the #1 contender, and the networks taking the cameras and Howard Cosell, Sugar Ray Leonard, all of them going in there to broadcast the fight, commentate on it. Now, Eddie Gregory rebounded from the loss to Scott by winning 6 straight before battering Marvin Johnson to win a world championship. And Scott had beat him, remember? Beat him down, beat him bad. Now, Gregory would change his name to Eddie Mustafa Muhammad and successfully defend his title against Jerry Martin in 1980, thus gaining a measure of redemption for his upset loss to James Scott by beating the man who brought a halt to the Rawway champions' unlikely run. And there you have it, the fight of the day. Yeah, that was amazing, man. But he never made it to the title. Yeah, he made it to #1, but the champion wouldn't go in there and fight him. And they wouldn't give him a pass to fight on the outside because he was involved, like I said, in a robbery that somebody died. So, yeah, he had some serious time, so they wasn't trying to do that. But they were allowing people to come in and fight him. But like Rossman's father said, I'm not taking my son in there to fight that monster. So, yeah, But it was a good story for a while for him. But James Scott, the Rahway State Prison contender. Okay, so today we're going to look at a few different things. First, we're going to look at Lennox Lewis's, some of his top victories. Start out with that. But appreciate everybody come through so far. The Drunk Irishman, Kensaw Love 1, Al Booger, Ray Patterson, Irony Boxing, Mike Rim, and Just Do Boxing. I'm going to take you right up to 4 o'clock to Just Do Boxing today. Coming up at 4 with that balanced, unbiased boxing talk. Everybody gets their Just Do at Just Do Boxing. Y'all know what it is. And then we in fight week for the big one. Benavidez and Yard is actually the main event, but the one everybody waiting for. I ain't even got to say it. Y'all know the one everybody waiting for. The one that's been talked about since this card been signed. B. Norman and Devin. Benavidez and Yard might be good, but we waiting on B. Norman and Devin Haney. Right? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna, like we did last Tuesday, we're gonna couple of some top in boxing history in a few different categories today. First, we're gonna start off. We're just gonna look at some of Lennox Lewis's top fights. Okay. Everybody hit the like, subscribe, please. I need 15 to get to 1,000. Maybe I get to it today. We'll see. I've been on 985 for about a month. But Rome wasn't built in a day. Okay, let's look at some of Lennox's top fights first. Lennox the Lion Lewis. Okay. Check Lennox. So, okay. Got 6 different categories we want to look at. The 12 greatest Lennox Lewis victories. Let's start. There's Lennox. Lennox won a super heavyweight gold medal at the 1988 Olympics. Beat Riddick Bowe, remember? And he went on to carve out a Hall of Fame career at the pro level and established himself among the great heavyweights in history. But which one of his victories stand out among the rest? Considering the caliber of opponent and the significance of the result, let's look at Lennox's top 12 victories, okay? First, against Frank Bruno. This was October 1st, 1993. Frank Bruno. For the first time ever, 2 Brits squared off for a version of the heavyweight championship. Bruno, beloved by the British public, made things personal by taunting Lennox, who'd represented Canada in the Olympics, insinuating that only one of them was a true Brit, right? That was Bruno. Now, over 6 rounds, Bruno looked in charge, scoring with solid jabs that began swelling Lewis's face. But in the 7th round, a monster counter left hook had Bruno badly hurt, and Lennox rained down right hands until the lucky challenger, upright but frozen, stiff on the ropes, was rescued by referee Mickey Vann. Okay, Shannon Briggs and Lennox. Shannon Briggs. March 28th, 1998. Briggs, the brash New Yorker, talked a big game and ended with a legitimate claim as the lineal heavyweight champion, having just beaten an aging Big George Foreman. Now, Lennox, meanwhile, was perhaps overconfident after his ruthless demolition of Andrew Golota. Surprised early by Briggs' speed, Lennox was wobbled in the 1st round before reasserting control and blasting Briggs to the canvas twice in a 4th round shootout, then landing him flat out with a huge right in the 5th round. Briggs showed immense courage to drag himself off the canvas back to his feet, but was mercifully stopped soon after. in one of Lewis's more exciting victories. Let's look at some of Lennox's big wins. David Tua. David Tua. There's David and Lennox. Okay, yeah, David Tua. This was November 11th, 2000. Okay? Now, short and squat heavyweight at just 5 feet 10 and 245 pounds, the Tua man threw a hellish left hook that arguably made him the most dangerous puncher alive. Yeah, he had a serious left hook. Remember that, y'all, Tua's left hook? In his only defeat, a 12-round war with Ike Ibebuki, he'd also shown bags of stamina and heart to go with the tremendous power. Yet, he struggled to lay a glove on Lennox. In a masterful display of boxing, the champion used his superior ring IQ to befuddle Tua on the end of his jab, outclassing him over 12 one-sided rounds. Yep, Lennox got that one. Unanimous decision, 12 rounds. Michael Grant and Lennox. Michael Grant. April 29th, 2000. It's easy to forget now, but Grant was once touted as the successor to the heavyweight throne. And after finally being crowned as the undisputed champion, Lennox went straight after the best challenger available in his very first defense. For once, at least according to the tale of the tape, Lennox was in the unusual position of being physically outmatched, right? Smaller man, which he normally wasn't. What was Lennox, about 6'6", 6'7", something like that. Grant being taller, heavier, younger, and with a longer reach. The American came out aggressively, but Lennox battered him to the canvas 3 times in the opening round and finished him off with a humongous uppercut in the second round. Yeah, Grant didn't last long at all. Second round. Then we had Lennox and Tommy Morrison. Remember that one? Lennox and Tommy Morrison. Yeah, there they are. Lennox and Big Tommy. Yeah, Tommy was wasted so much potential. I thought he was going to really be good, but nope. October 7th, 1995 was the date of this fight. Lennox and Tommy Morrison. A year removed from his shock loss to Oliver McCall, Lennox was still in the process of rebuilding under the tutelage of Emanuel Stewart, right? Now, Tommy Morrison was a top quality heavyweight with a dangerous left hook, and he was coming off a thrilling stoppage over Razor Ruddock. But Lennox made it look easy. A steady stream of stiff jabs and hard right hands busted up Morrison. Busted his face all up. And when he was bludgeoned to the floor for the 4th time by a series of heavy hooks and uppercuts in round 7, referee Mills Lane had seen enough, stepped in and stopped it. Ray Mercer. Remember that one? Lennox and Ray Mercer is next. I can't find out where I'm at. Get with me for a minute. Here we had Lennox and Tommy Morrison. Yeah, that looks like Tommy Morrison right there, right? Yeah, Ray Mercer was next. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see. Okay. Okay, Lennox and Ray Mercer. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there's Lennox and Ray Mercer. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Lennox and Ray Mercer. I had lost track of where my pictures was at. This was May 10th, 1996. Okay, Lennox versus Ray Mercer. In a fight between two gold medalists from the 1988 Seoul Olympics, Lewis gritted out a decision over a capable and dangerous opponent, with the KO loss to McCall still lingering. A skeptical transatlantic audience remained unconvinced that Lennox was tough enough to ever become heavyweight champion again. But against the power-punching, unjawed ex-Marine Ray Mercer, Lennox showed he could battle in the trenches against a top American contender. The fight was a bruising, close encounter, but dispelled the myth that Lennox lacked the heart or the ability to take a punch. Yeah, because he had got stopped by McCall, remember? And everybody was like, nah, Lennox not what we thought he was. But, he really was. He surprised everybody. Well, he wasn't surprised, but, he bounced back from that defeat to McCall. Next was the Iron Mike Tyson. He wasn't Iron Mike anymore by that point. Okay. He was not Iron Mike anymore. June 8th, 2002. Now, had this mega fight taken place in the mid-90s, it would be right at the top of this list. Sadly, by 2002, Iron Mike's peak was a distant memory. But while the myth of Tyson's invincibility had long since been exposed, his magnetic grip on the public consciousness still held firm, making the fight one of the highest grossing events in boxing history, right? Now, Mike began positively, even connecting with some dangerous looking left hooks, but his fuse burnt out quickly. Lennox then dominated behind his long, painful shots until a trademark massive right hand closed the book on the last remaining rivalry from a great heavyweight era. Yeah, this fight had been like 6 or 7 years earlier. It would have probably been a little different. But yeah, 2002, Iron Mike was way in the rearview mirror. I mean, way in the rearview mirror by 2002. Yeah. And then remember the Vitaly Klitschko fight. Yeah, got stopped on cuts and then Lennox retired. Instead of giving Vitaly that rematch, Vitaly was a hit on all the cards, when the fight was stopped on cuts, when Lennox retired. This was June 1st, 2003. Or was it later? Yeah, 2003. That's kind of early. But yeah, June 21st, 2003. I always thought that fight was a little later than that, but wow. Dr. Iron Fist, stepping in at just 2 weeks' notice, took the fight straight to Lennox. In an upset scene possible, as Lennox was rocked early on and behind on all the scorecards. But after taking the Ukrainian Giant's best shots in a tougher than expected dogfight, Lennox regained control and began crashing home right hands and monstrous uppercuts. Klitschko, dazed but defiant, was pulled out after the sixth due to the horrific cuts Lewis's punches had inflicted on his face. The fact Vitaly went on to become one of the best heavyweights of the ensuing era is a testament to Lewis's greatness. Okay. I ain't gonna say nothing. Evander Holyfield is next. Lennox, they fought twice, remember? Yeah, I remember the first fight. That was bad because the lady, I think it was Eugenia Williams, one of those lady judges was terrible. Remember? Lennox scored like 30 or 40 punches in a round, one of the rounds, and Evander was in single digits. And she gave the round to Holyfield. That's why they need open scoring. She had to cheat that round. There wasn't no way you could give that round to Holyfield. So you're turning the cards after each round. She would have had to explain that. But how you get that to him? The man that outlanded him like 4-1, right? And Conquer Box ain't nothing computerized about it. It's just people hitting buttons. But that bigger disparity, Had to be something to that. But she gave the round to Holyfield. People was wondering, were you even at ringside doing that round? Or were you in the bathroom somewhere? Anyway, it was November 13th, 1999. Lennox event. I think this is the second one, right? Lennox won this. Yeah, this is the second one. Now, no doubt, the first encounter with the real deal at Madison Square Garden should be considered a win for Lennox. The draw verdict from the judges, one of the most controversial in decades. But the simple truth is both men were not at their best that night, but Lennox still won it. Holyfield barely showed up, while Lennox was overly cautious and tentative. Now, the rematch was a different story, with the two champions putting it all on the line. Holyfield may have been 37 years old at the time, but he was still the most accomplished opponent Lewis had ever faced. And he gave one last great effort to make this clash more than worthy of the hype surrounding it. Now, both men had moments of ascendancy, with Lewis boxing to an early lead before surging Holyfield had him on shaky legs in the middle rounds. The younger man landed the more telling blows as they battled down the stretch. And finally, after a decade of chasing the ultimate prize, Lennox Lewis was crowned the undisputed world champion. Okay, that was the fight he got it. Couple more. Then we're going to go on to the next topic. Andrew Golota, the low blow king. Andrew Golota. Yeah. He's famous for going south of the border. He made a living out of going south of the border. Andrew. This was October 4th, 1997. Lennox and Andrew Golota. Now, the aborted Lewis versus Bo super fight was one of the biggest disappointments of the 90s boxing. It came close on a few different occasions, but was wrecked for good thanks to Polish-based, Polish loose cannon Andrew Golota, handing a comprehensive beating to Bo over 2 fights. He somehow managed to get himself disqualified both times for repeated low blows. Now, despite the disqualification losses, the performances proved he was a force to be reckoned with. And the bookmakers had him and Lennox at almost even money coming into this fight, with several critics tipping the poll. The Lennox made an absolute mockery of the narrow pre-fight odds, though, glissing a shell-shocked Golota in just 95 seconds of clinical heavyweight destruction. 95 seconds, okay? Knockout, first round. 95 seconds. And then Hasim Rahman. This is the first one, I think. November 17th, 2001, when Rahman, this is the second one, I believe, for Lennox. But Rahman did stop him in the first fight, remember? I believe it's the second one. November 17th, 2001. Now, Rahman scored a shocking knockout of Lewis in South Africa and almost squirmed his way out of the rematch until a New York judge orders him to honor the contract, right? Now, the two brawled on a TV studio floor during a heated buildup, but the former champion's focus was unflappable. Razor sharp. It razor sharp from the beginning. Lewis used his legs to box and move, peppering Rahman with stiff jabs before teeing him up with a perfect sweeping right hand that splayed him out on the canvas. The revenge knockout to become a 3-time champion was surely one of the sweetest victories of a great career. And finally, Donovan Razor Reddick. Yeah, Donovan Razor Reddick. This was October 31st, 1992. Halloween, 1992. The so-called fight for the right promised the victor a shot at the undisputed crown versus the winner of Holyfield versus Bo. Lewis was 21-0 at the time with 18 knockouts. He was untested at elite level. whereas Ruddock had proven his class in 2 competitive losses against Mike Tyson. The power punching Canadian, Ruddock came in 27 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 20 knockouts. And he came in as a 2-1 favorite. But a beautifully timed overhand right took Ruddock's legs from under him in the first round. And a brutal barrage in round 2 left him face down on the canvas in a scintillating performance that sent shockwaves through the heavyweight division. It almost seemed as if Lewis had wiped out 93 years of English heavyweight futility in 3 minutes and 46 seconds of boxing, reported the Los Angeles Times. It doesn't get much more emphatic than that, okay? So now we're gonna look at, what are we gonna look at next? We're gonna look at 10 of the best middleweight fights now, okay? 10 of the best middleweight 160-pound fights of all time. Yeah, that's Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta. They had 6 of them. Remember? 6 of them. 6 fights between these two. Sugar Ray won 5, but that's misleading. It wasn't one-sided like that at all. I thought it should have been 3-3, to be honest with you. I thought Jake won half of those fights, but hey, I'm not a judge. But it's still 5-1 was very misleading. It was a very competitive series of fights. Yeah, it really was. Okay, let's get into it. Some of the top middleweight fights of all time. Okay? Yeah, that's Sugar Ray and Jake right there. Oh, 3 o'clock already. Let's jump right into it. 160-pound division. Okay? So the first one is the Toy Bulldog, Mickey Walker versus Tiger Flower. December 3rd, 1926. Okay? Now, despite the fight being scheduled for 10 rounds, this clash of ring legends was for the world title. Walker was attempting to get all the way back to the top after suffering defeat to Pete Latzo and Joe Dundee, while Tiger was coming off an impressive 10-win, 1-loss run that year. 11 fights that year. That's how they fought back then. It was 10-1 that same year, 1926, including 2 big wins over the great Harry Graf. Now, press accounts show that most thought Flowers clearly got the best of the Toy Bulldog that night, but the decision went to Walker and was not overturned despite an official investigation by the Illinois Athletic Commission. Yeah, so that one, the Toy Bulldog got that one. Next is Jake LaMotta and Laurent Dorthil. Back a ways. September 13th, 1950. Jake LaMotta, Laurent Dorthil. The man they called the Bronx Bull had in fact dropped a 10-round decision to Dorthil the year before in Montreal. But then 4 months later, he defeated Marcel Cerdan for the world title. Now, with the championship on the line, Dorthil, aka the Tarzan of Buzenval, was in command, racking up the points and amassing a huge lead in a tough, bruising battle. When the bell rang for round 15, Jake needed a knockout to win, while Dorthil just needed to survive. With time running out, a seemingly hurt and exhausted LaMotta abruptly unloaded a fearsome barrage of big punches to topple the Frenchman, who was counted out with just 13 seconds left in the fight. Yeah, Jake needed a knockout and got it with 13 seconds left. Wow. Sugar Ray Robinson, and Gene Fullmer. It's Gene on the floor. Yeah, Gene, that was the one where they had the perfect punch, remember? And Gene Fullmer said he was knocked out cold. When he woke up, he saw Sugar Ray over there in the other corner. And Gene said he thought it was just between rounds and Sugar Ray was just in his corner. He didn't know he had been knocked out. He thought Sugar Ray was over in his corner and getting ready for the next round. But salute Mike Mazik in the building. Salute Mike. We're looking at a couple of different things today. Now we're looking at the best middleweight fights in boxing history. Sugar Ray Robinson versus Gene Fullmer, May 1st, 1957. Many thought the great Sugar Ray Robinson was finished after he lost the world title to Fullmer by decision the previous January in a bruising battle that saw Ray actually knocked out of the ring by the Utah Cyclone. But instead of a farewell fight, it was another huge win for Sugar Ray, not to mention one of the greatest one-punch knockouts in ring history. Yeah, they call that punch the perfect punch. Next, yeah, this is one we were just talking about, when Tiger and Mickey Walker. This is Tiger and the great Harry Greb. Harry Greb on the left, Tiger on the right. Yeah, Harry Greb is one of the top 3 middleweights of all time. Okay, as far as I'm concerned. This was August 19th, 1926. Madison Square Garden was jammed for the third and final confrontation between the Georgia Deacon and the Smoke City Wildcat. After 15 hard-fought rounds, the decision went to Flowers, the Georgia Deacon. And while the pro-Greb crowd didn't like it one bit, most at ringside agreed with the verdict. Roberto Duran, the Hands of Stone, versus Iran Barkley. Duran versus Barkley, the Hands of Stone. Okay, this fight was February 24th, 1989. While all acknowledged that Duran was forever a pound-for-pound all-time great, few envisioned the former lightweight king, now 37 years old, overcoming the challenge of a younger, bigger, stronger man in Iran Barkley. After all, Barkley was coming off a devastating stoppage win over Tommy Hearns, right? The Hitman, the same fighter who had annihilated Roberto back in 1984. Besides, it was now almost 22 years since Duran's pro career had begun, and almost 6 years since he had defeated a top-ranked opponent. But what unfolded on that wintry night in Atlantic City, New Jersey, only added to the legend of Manos de Piedra, the Hands of Stone, as he battled the blade on mostly even turns before staging a dramatic late-round rally to score a knockout and win his 4th world title by a 12-round split decision. The thrilling battle was everyone's choice for 1989's Fight of the Year. Duran Barkley, yeah, that was a good one there. This was part of a trilogy. Rocky Graziano, Tony Zale. We're looking at some of the greatest middleweight fights in boxing history. This was a great trilogy. July 16th, 1947, Graziano versus Zale. There they are. Okay, now, sadly, no official film was made of the Blood and Thunder brawl that took place in front of a huge crowd at Chicago Stadium, which set a new indoor gate record at the time. But the majority of lucky souls who witnessed the legendary trilogy between the Man of Steel and Rocky Bob regarded their second slugfest, 1947 Fight of the Year, as the most exciting and action-packed fight, one of the most exciting and action-packed fights ever. The Graziano overcame a terrible pounding in the early going, as well as a nasty cut and swellings around both eyes, to come roaring back and almost knock Zale out of the ring before the referee halted the brutal war. one of the greatest slugfests in boxing history. And that trilogy, 2 of those fights were fights of the year. 2 of them, okay? You talking about middleweight fights, how can you not have this one in there? Got to have Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. Sugar Ray Leonard and marvelous Marvin Hagler. April 6, 1987. Yeah. You can't do any kind of middleweight list without just Leonard Hagler. It was a record-setting super fight that few at the time saw coming, with Leonard unexpectedly emerging from retirement to challenge the dominant and undisputed middleweight champion, who had not lost a fight in 11 years. The marvelous one hadn't lost a fight in 11 years. Now, many anticipated a crushing Hagler win, but instead, the 2 veterans provided a highly competitive 12-round waltz, and in a huge upset, 2 of the 3 judges scored Sugar Ray the winner. Okay? Now, there was a judge that before the fight, Hagler and his team vetoed that judge. And remember, Sugar Ray won by split decision. And that judge that they vetoed scored the fight at home and gave it to Hagler. He might have just said that because he got vetoed. He might have been different if he was actually a judge. But he said he gave it to Hagler. That would have been the winning judge for Hagler. But they vetoed him. But again, that judge might have just said that to troll Hagler and his team. Now, I would have gave you the fight, so you never know. Carmen Basilio and Sugar Ray Robinson. 2 of those great 1950s middleweights, the best decade ever for middleweights, 1950s. Carmen Basilio and Sugar Ray Robinson. September 23rd, 1957. Some 40,000 fans were on hand in New York's Yankee Stadium to see welterweight world champion Basilio challenge middleweight champion Sugar Ray Robinson. The fight also broadcast to 170 closed-circuit theaters. Now, the historic matchup more than lived up to the anticipation, with Sugar Ray and the Onion Farmer staging a magnificent back-and-forth war that saw Basilio take a close decision after 15 action-packed rounds. But Sugar Ray did win the rematch, okay? But he lost that one to the Onion Farmer. Okay, looking at some of the greatest middleweight fights of all time. Next is Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta. We had one of them already? They fought 6 times. No, not yet. Yeah, they fought 6 times, though. This was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, February 14th, 1951. Valentine's Day. And it was a massacre. Now, the legendary St. Valentine's Day Massacre was the 6th and final chapter in the great rivalry between Robinson and the Bronx Bull. The fight attracting a big crowd in Chicago Stadium and a huge audience on home television. Fast-paced and competitive through the first 11 rounds. After that, it turned into a one-sided battery. The 2-fisted pounding LaMotta endured in round 12 and 13 was nothing short of brutal, for the referee finally stopped it, and Robinson won the world middleweight title for the first time. Yeah, it went up to middleweight then. The first 5 fights were all at welterweight, okay? And Jake gave Sugar Ray his first loss, and they said the only one that really beat him in his prime, because he was getting older by this time. Next, this was a great one here. They actually had the rematch that night in a bar down the street from the arena. These 2 here, Harry Greb and Mickey Walker. Yeah, they went to a bar after the fight and got into a fight down there. Had the rematch later that night. Harry Greb, Mickey Walker, July 2nd, 1925. The Toy Bulldog versus the Pittsburgh Windmill. It was 15 furious rounds between 2 of the very best to ever lace them up, both in their prime. And while it was a battle between the middleweight and welterweight champions, Walker gave away only 7 pounds, not a traveling difference. considering that 5 months before, the Tory Bulldog had defeated light heavyweight Mike McTeague. Some 50,000 filled up the Polo Grounds in New York City to witness what was, by all reports, a truly great fight. The fight becoming more intense and fast-paced as the rounds went by. The deadly close struggle and a unanimous decision for the Pittsburgh Windmill, Greb, was sealed in round 14 when Greb battered Walker and almost stopped him. And like I said, later that night in a bar down the street from the arena, they had the rematch. Went out to the parking lot. Yep. So that's what you call an immediate rematch there. Later that night. Okay. Okay, we have a couple more. Sugar Ray Robinson and Randy Turpin. Yeah, Randy Turpin actually beat Sugar Ray once. This is September 12th, 1951. He beat him in England, and then they had the next fight. I think it was at the Garden, Madison Square, and I believe Turpin won the second one. Yeah. But let's see which one this is. The first or the second. There's Turpin on the mat there. Okay, Randy Turpin and Sugar Ray Robinson. September 12th, 1951. Okay. This is 2. When Randy Turpin of England had defeated Sugar Ray Robinson for the world middleweight title in front of a hometown crowd the previous July, it was one of the biggest upsets in boxing history at that time. 2 months later, a massive throng sold out the Polo Grounds in New York City. You're not the Garden, the Polo Grounds. This is an outside arena, outside stadium like. So a massive crowd filled the Polo Grounds to see if Sugar Ray could regain the championship. A dramatic battle unfolded, which saw the Prince of Harlem start well before Turpin began to gain the upper hand, in the process reopening a deep gash over Sugar Ray's left eye. Now, knowing the cut was severe enough to force a stoppage, Sugar Ray attacked, knocking Turpin down and then pounding him mercilessly until the referee stopped the fight with just seconds remaining in round 10. Yeah, Sugar Ray opened up the big guns on Turpin in that one because that was a crucial fight in Sugar Ray's career, like a, crossroads fight. Because he had just lost to Turpin. If he lost this one, that probably would have been it for the Sugar Man. And the final one is the best middleweight fight of all time is Marvin Hagler and Thomas the Hitman Hearns. Cameron Terrell, what's up, Cameron? We're just looking at a number of things today. Right now, the best middleweight fights of all time. This is the final one. I think this is the best middleweight fight ever. It only lasted 3 rounds, but it won Fight of the Year, a 3-round fight. And we had Larry Holmes and Michael Spinks that year, Hector Camacho and Jose Ramirez, the first Jose Ramirez. And both of those were like 15 rounds or 12. I don't know if they went to 12, but this one, 3 rounds, won Fight of the Year over those two and the other great fights that year, right? Round 1 was Round of the Year, April 15th, 1985. One of the greatest and biggest super fights in the legendary Four Kings series. Hagler vs. Hearns became a truly huge event after Sugar Ray Leonard retired, and then both men notched wins over Roberto Duran, right? So Marvelous Marvin Hagler was the middleweight king. Thomas Hitman Hearns held a version of the 154-pound title, junior middleweight. Together, they were arguably pound for pound, number 1 and number 2 in the sport at that time, right? A sellout crowd at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas and millions on closed-circuit television witnessed one of the most thrilling brawls in boxing history, with both warriors stunned in a hellacious opening round, perhaps the greatest single round since Jack Dempsey Lewis Firpo in 1921, before a bleeding Hagler rallied to batter the Motor City Cobra into helplessness in round 3. Yeah, that was, everybody done saw that one. If you haven't, watch that tonight. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna look at another topic now. It's going to be that was the greatest middleweight fights, right? Number 3 is the best light heavyweights in boxing history. The best light heavyweights ever. Now, who is that? Ezzard Charles and Harold Johnson. That's who that is on the picture there. Ezzard Charles and Harold Johnson, 2 great light heavyweights back in the day. And both of them is on this list. Yep. That's Ezzard on the right, Harold on the left. We just took Harold on the left. I was getting ready to say, that was Emil Griffith yesterday. I get him and Ezzard Charles mixed up all the time. I don't know why. One was a welterweight. Emil was. Hope everybody enjoyed that yesterday. The Emil Griffith, Benny Parrott story. If you haven't seen it, check the playback out. I think it's pretty good. Okay. Top light heavyweights of all time. Now, let's jump into it. Yeah, that's Ezzard and Harold Johnson. 2 great light heavyweights. And both on this list. First is John Henry Lewis. John Henry Lewis, yeah. Great fighter. 30s, 40s, around in that time frame. Okay. World champion with a career record of 99 wins, 11 losses, 5 draws. He boasts wins over Bob Olin, Tiger Jack Fox, James Braddock, and Maxie Rosenbloom. Okay. Harold Johnson. Harold Johnson. Oh, there he is. That's Harold on the left. Okay. An excellent technician with a solid punch. Johnson scored victories over Archie Moore, Jimmy Bivens, Doug Jones, Eddie Macon, and Ezzard Charles. And next is Jimmy Bivens, some of the top light heavyweights of all time. Jimmy Bivens. Jimmy scored wins over a long list of great 175-pounders, including Ezzard Charles, Archie Moore, Joey Maxim, and Lord Marshall, as well as some elite heavyweights. Okay, Jimmy went up to heavyweight and got and beat some big names. One of the Gibbons brothers, Tommy Gibbons, a clever boxer who knew all the tricks. Gibbons bested a wealth of great talent, including the great Harry Greb, Kid Norfolk, Billy Miss, Georges Carpenter, and Battling Levinsky. He battled Jack Dempsey in 1923, the heavyweight champion of the world, in the famous fight that bankrupted the town of Shelby, Montana. The great Bob Foster, top 5 light heavyweight of all time. The great Bob Foster. One of the most powerful light heavyweights with knockouts over Dick Tiger, Mike Quarry, Chris Finnegan, and Vicente Rondon. Bob Foster recorded 14 world title defenses, 14 of them. Billy Conn, the man that almost changed history, had Joe Louis beat and got greedy, went for the knockout and got knocked out. Billy Conn, it's Billy on the right there. The man that almost changed history. Right in the middle of those 25 Joe Louis consecutive wins to set their all-time record, 12 years of being champion. Billy Conn almost beat him right in the middle of that. Almost changed history. But Joe Louis needed a knockout in the 12th round, and he got it. Billy got greedy. Was boxing beautiful? Went up in the pocket I think it was the 13th round. Went up in the pocket and got knocked out. Tried to go toe-to-toe with one of the most greatest finishers of all time. But Billy, he was a good boxer, though. When he was at the top of his game, True could match Conn for ring smart. Defeated young Corbett III, Fred Aspastali, Gus Lesnovic, Fritzy Zivik, Bob Pastor, and Lisa Vold. in one of the greatest of all heavyweight fights, came very close to dethroning a prime Joe Louis and changing boxing history. But he didn't do it. Michael Spinks, some of the greatest heavyweights of all time. That's him and Larry Holmes right there. Crush, the legend in the building. What's up, Crush? The legend. The Morning Man. 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Bringing that high-level boxing talk. Music, all kinds of subjects. Crush is a very versatile guy. Salute Crush, the legend. Right now, Crush, we talking about a number of different subjects today, but right now, some of the best light heavyweights ever. And you got to have Michael Spinks on that list, right? That's Michael on the left, okay? One of them against Holmes. I thought Holmes won both of those fights, but like I said before, I'm not a judge. And the judges thought Spinks won them, so Holmes lost both of them. Now, Michael Spinks. Not only did Spinks become the first light heavyweight champion to win the heavyweight crown when he defeated Larry Holmes in 1985, he also excelled in a particularly strong 175-pound division, beating the likes of Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Yaki Lopez, Dwight Muhammad Qawi, Marvin Johnson, and Eddie Davis. And I always think that the 80s was the best era ever. Well, the best decade ever for light heavyweights, and Michael Spinks was at the top of it. Okay? Yeah. He was the man at light heavyweight in the 80s. And then won the heavyweight title. First reigning light heavyweight champion to do that. Archie Moore tried, but he failed. But Michael Spinks accomplished it. Tommy Loughran. Some of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. Tommy Loughran. Unquestionably, one of the most cerebral ring technicians. The Philly Phantom defeated a long list of excellent fighters, including the great Harry Greb, the Toy Bulldog, Mickey Walker, Young Stribling, Jeff Smith, Arturo Godoy, King Levinsky, and Georges Carpenter. Tommy Loughran. The legendary Gene Tunney. We did a thing on Gene last week. The Fighting Marine, Gene Tunney. He was actually in the Marines. That's where he got their name from. Right? Fighting Marine. Okay. Gene Tunney. I appreciate you, Cameron. Cameron says, step on the neck, the boxing sport, Cass Sports. I appreciate you, Cameron. Okay, here we go. Gene Tunney, the Fighting Marine. He was actually in the Marines, right? The Fighting Marine never won the world's crown, but that didn't stop him from establishing himself as the best light heavyweight in the world, while scoring wins over fellow greats Tommy Gibbons, Harry Greb, Jeff Smith, and Georges Carpenter, before moving up to heavyweight, where he did win the world title by defeating the legendary Jack Dempsey, one of the best light heavyweights, but he never won the title there, but he won the heavyweight title. He beat Jack Dempsey twice, okay? The great Archie Moore. You know, you're talking a light heavyweight list. Archie got to be on it. Archie went 16 years before getting this title shot, right? But they finally gave him a shot and he won the title, and guess what? He kept it 10 years. Archie said, I'm not losing this because I probably never get another shot. It took me 16 years to get it. So when he won that title, he kept it for 16 years. Had a 28-year career, Archie Moore. No one questions the greatness of the old mongoose. Only where his name should be slotted on a list like this. With the most knockouts, second most knockouts in boxing history, 132, and wins over Holman Williams, Jimmy Bivens, Lloyd Marshall, Bobo Alston, Eddie Cotton, Joey Maxim, and Harold Johnson. The old mongoose is forever an all-time great. He started out as a young mongoose, the mongoose, but he fought so long, they started calling him the old mongoose. 28-year career for Archie. And then number 2 is the legendary, great, awesome, excellent, the Boston Bone Crusher, Sam Langford. The Boston Bone Crusher may have fewer all-time great light heavyweights on his record, but for much of his legendary career, he fought as a light heavyweight. his weight in the vicinity of 175 pounds. The roster of great fighters Langford bested is amazingly long, despite the fact so many avoided him. The astonishing list of names includes Sam McVeigh, Philadelphia Jack O'Brien, Harry Wills, Joe Gans, Kid Norfolk, Jack Blackburn, Gunboat Smith, and Big Bill Tate, Stanley Ketchum, and Joe Jeanette. You look at names between 1900, like 1920, those are the big boys there, them names I just named. And Sam beat all of them. The Boston Bone Crusher. And by the end of his career, he was blind in one eye and couldn't see out the other one, still boxing and still winning. Mm-hmm. Yes, legally blind in one eye and almost legally blind in the other one, and still winning fights. He used to get up close and then just pound them to the body. And number one, light heavyweights, the man that never won the light heavyweight title easy, Ezzard Charles. Won the heavyweight title just like Gene Tunney, but he's the best light heavyweight of all time, for sure. Ezzard Charles. The great Ezzard Charles. Best light heavyweight ever. Competing at the same time as fellow great Archie Moore. Charles wins over Charlie Burley, Joey Maxim, Lloyd Marshall, Gus Lesnovic, and Jimmy Bivens are just part of why he tops the list. The other part is the fact he holds 3 wins over the old mongoose himself, which established the Cincinnati Cobra as the finest of his time at 175, before he went on to assault the heavyweight division. And he beat both Joe Louis and Jersey Joe Walcott, and then gave Rocky Marciano the toughest 2 fights of his career, as said by Rocky himself. Okay? That ain't me. Rocky said that. Right? His toughest fights was Ezzard Charles and the other guy, I forgot his name. Okay, now we're going to look at the best Mexico-Puerto Rican fights of all time. Between a Mexican and Puerto Rican, the best ever. The best fights of all time. Best Mexico-Puerto Rico matchups of all time now. There's both the flags. Puerto Rican flag on the left, Mexico on the right. The best fights between fighters from those countries, 2 countries of all time. How's everybody? It's still early in this big week of boxing history. And then, we got the big one coming up this weekend. Devin Haney B. Norman. I know that Benavidez and Yard is the main event, but y'all know the one we've been talking about, the one we waiting for, is B. Norman and Devin. Yep. And it's this weekend. We're in fight week. Ain't nothing like fight week. I'm excited for it. For this one. Only a few days away. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's it. It's on then. The talk is almost over with. Time to throw some hands. And a great card, though. What is it? 3 championship fights. Benavidez, Yard. We got Abdullah and Sam. Devin and B. Norman. There's another championship fight on there. I can't think of it anymore. Beterbiev was on there. But he got off. I think him and Bivol gonna have a rubber match. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. Okay. Excuse me for one moment, please. First and last interruption. Yeah. And all these great channels in here, please subscribe to them. Oh, no. Yeah. Let's see if I can get everybody. Okay. We got Crush the Legend, The Drunk Irishman, Ernie Boxing, Just Do Boxing. Yeah, I think that's everybody that's got a channel in here. Yeah, please subscribe to all these great channels. You won't be disappointed. You probably come back and thank me later. Just Do Boxing is coming up.
Something went wrong.
Oh my goodness.
Please try again.
Oh, forget it. Okay, let's go. The thing said the tablet told me something went wrong. All right, this is the best Mexico-Puerto Rico fights of all time. Jorge Arce versus Wilfredo Vasquez, May 7th, 2011. You ready to leave? Oh, okay.
I called it off.
Okay.
Now I gotta make a wound on my leg. I say I fell out.
Okay. But you're not going?
No.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. That was miscast. Okay. Okay. Jorge Arce versus Wilfredo Vasquez. Treviso Arce skipped donning his trademark cowboy hat and sucking on a lollipop on his way to the ring for this crucial contest. At 20 wins, no losses, 1 draw, with 18 knockouts, Vasquez, the son of a Puerto Rican great, wasn't to be taken lightly. Starting quickly, Arce snagged the first few rounds before getting decked by a left hook in round 4, accounting for the first knockdown of his career. But Arce's relentless pressure was too much for Vasquez as the fight wore on. In round 11, Vasquez was caught and pummeled against the ropes, and it continued into the final round until Vasquez's corner finally signaled surrender. Okay, some of the best Mexico-Puerto Rico fights of all time now. Wilfredo Gomez and Carlos Zarate. October 28th, 1978. Okay. Wilfredo Gomez, Carlos Zarate. This was a clash of power punchers whose combined records were, listen to this, combined records between these two: 73 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 72 knockouts. Okay? They sold out the Coliseo Roberto Clemente in San Juan, Puerto Rico, a week before the fight. Demand was so high that overflow seating was arranged for a closed circuit broadcast at an open-air baseball stadium next to the venue. Now, it took a few rounds to draw forth action from the two weight-drained fighters, but in round 3, both men landed stiff punches. A knockdown of Zarate in round 4 marked the beginning of the end. When crowd noise drowned out the bell and Gomez again put Zarate down, 1 minute wasn't enough time to recover. A final knockdown surmounted a towel from the Mexican's corner in round 5, and Bazooka Gomez remained undefeated. But 73 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 72 knockouts between them coming into that fight. Wow, that is amazing. There. Okay. Giovanni Segura, Ivan Calderon, August 28, 2010. Some of the greatest Mexico versus Puerto Rico fights of all time. Only 5 feet and tipping the scales at 108 pounds. Not many boxing champions have been smaller than Calderon. But against Segura, the diminutive Puerto Rican showed a heart 2 sizes too big as a non-stop torrent of punches was chucked his way. Through 3 rounds, Calderon managed to slip his way around Segura's shots. But laying on the ropes too long led to serious punishment in rounds 4 and 5. Even at age 35, Calderon had a few tricks left, and he boxed his way through the 6th before wallowing Segura in the 7th. Body shots ended Calderon's night in round 8, though, marking his first loss as a professional and the end of his reign. Yep, That was his last fight. First loss, last fight. Orlando Salido versus Juan Manuel Lopez. Salido versus Lopez. Y'all thought I was going to say Marquez. Now, this fight took place on April 16th, 2011. Though Lopez had weathered a few rough patches before, he was still undefeated and coming off a career best win over Rafael Marquez when he was matched with Mexico's Orlando Salido, who was viewed by many as nothing more than a tough gatekeeper with 11 losses on his record. And indeed, Lopez took the initiative out and outbanged the veteran in the early rounds. But Salido's awkward delivery and jumpy style got through in round 5, and it sent Lopez down with a combination. From then on, Lopez was repeatedly rocked and fought primarily on instinct. When round 8 came, Lopez had nothing left to give, and the relentless Salido pounded him on the ropes to force the stoppage. Some of the best Mexico-Puerto Rico fights of all time now. Sixto Escobar, Rodolfo Casanova, June 26, 1934. Escobar Casanova. This is the first fight in the Mexico-Puerto Rico rivalry, okay? Sixto Escobar, Rodolfo Casanova, June 26, 1934. The fight that started it all over 80 years ago. 90 now. No, 80. Oh, shoot, what happened? Bear with me for a minute. Yeah. Okay, I'll be right back with you. But that was the fight that started it all there. That was the first one. Yeah. 91. I couldn't figure it out in my head. 91 years ago. I just could not figure it. It was throwing me. Yeah. 91 years ago, this was the first fight in the Mexico-Puerto Rico rivalry. Sixto Escobar, Rodolfo Casanova. The fight that started it all. 91 years ago. They didn't know it, but the spectators at the famous forum in Montreal were eyewitnessing history. As former editor of the Ring magazine, Nigel Collins would later call this bantamweight battle the beginning of an enduring blood feud. Mexico, Baby Casanova went down in round 3, but he rose and tore back in for more, even if he couldn't seem to catch up. Round 8 was a frantic attempt from Casanova to gain momentum, but his efforts were halted in the 9th when Escobar landed a right uppercut that put him to sleep. Shortly thereafter, Escobar became the first Puerto Rican world champion. Yep, Sixto Escobar won the first Mexico versus Puerto Rico fight and became the first Puerto Rican world champion. Sixto Escobar. Okay. Felix Trinidad versus Yuri Boy Campos. This took place September 17th, 1994. In this fight between unbeaten fighters, Campos ended at 56-0 with 50 knockouts, while the soon-to-be beloved Puerto Rican, who was it? Oh, Trinidad. Trinidad was 23-0 and had 19 knockouts. Now, Trinidad carefully navigated Campos's left hook in round 1 before running straight into it in round 2 and being knocked onto his butt. As he had several times before, Tito slugged his way out of trouble. When he found himself rocked again in round 3, he twice hit Campos low, drawing a warning from the referee and then a deduction. Trinidad responded to the sanction with fury and punished Campos through the rest of the round and into the 4th, where a vicious salvo brought it into the battle. Yeah, Trinidad, once he knocked him down and he get up, it's on then. He got up and won that one. Yeah. The trainer of the man fighting Trinidad should tell him, do not knock him down. Because when Tito got up, it was on. Seemed like every time he went down. So his opponent's trainer should tell him, don't knock Tito down, whatever you do. Right? But it just seemed like whenever he went down and got up, somebody was in trouble. Antonio Margarito, Miguel Cotto. July 26, 2008. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. The gravity of this 2008 fight wasn't missed in pre-fight hype, and Cotto's undefeated record made him a slight favorite. Splitting rounds early on, Margarito's face was the worse for wear through the first half, but Cotto was rocked and sent to the ropes in round 7, which changed everything. Both Cotto's stamina and face began to disintegrate. Bleeding from his left eye, nose, and lips, Cotto was sent to the canvas twice in the 11th before the fight was halted. Afterward, the Barfather said that Margarito was like an express train that couldn't be stopped. Finally, an express train ran Cotto over, but he had that stuff in his hand wraps, remember? And Cotto beat him in the second fight. Cotto said that was the best win of his career. Well, it wasn't known that he had it, but he got caught against Shane Mosley, so then that taints every fight. Remember, before the Mosley fight, they caught Margarito loading his hand wraps. So that taints every fight before that. Because if you did it this fight, how many other ones did you do it? Probably all of them. The Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Julio Cesar Chavez versus Edwin Rosario. This is one where Edwin told Julio he's going to send him back to Mexico in a coffin, remember? And then he got beat down. Beat down, not down, down. JCC beat him down. November 21st, 1987. Now, the world title is going to go directly to Mexico, Chavez said before the fight, and he pegged it. According to Punch Stats, Chavez connected with over 60% of his shots, and among them were a heap of body shots. They had Rosario gasping for breath early in the fight. Again and again, Chavez pinned Rosario to the ropes near his own corner as the champion fought back and landed about half as much as he dished out. Half as much as he took. Moving up a division proved no issue for Chavez, who absorbed whatever came back at him and used his strength to push Rosario around. By round 10, Rosario's left eye was all but shut, and his mouth was bloody. The following round, his corner saved him by tossing in the towel. Yeah, he got dominated. Okay, Felix Trinidad versus Fernando Vargas, December 2nd, 2000. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Tito, Puerto Rico. Fernando, Mexico. Now, confident he would be facing one of the two in the near future, Vargas had watched his Olympian teammate David Reed get dismantled by Trinidad. Months later, the fight was signed, and Trinidad was getting under the 23-year-old's skin, saying he would defeat Vargas easier than he did Reed. Now, the taunting worked, and Vargas was lured into trading left hooks that downed him twice in the first round, okay? And Vargas regrouped and came back to floor Tito in the fourth with his own left hook. And Trinidad struck low to both buy time and stem the tide. But Vargas went back to work, fighting bravely until 3 knockdowns in round 12 ended the war. Yeah, Tito won that one. Okay. Jose Luis Ramirez versus Edwin Rosario, November 3rd, 1984. And then we had Salvador Sanchez Wilfredo Gomez. That was a good one there. That was August 21st, 1981. And Wilfredo Gomez, Lupe Pintor, December 3rd, 1982. Okay. I wanted to go over this. We had a good little piece on Jersey Joe Walcott. We also had the best welterweight fights. Let's look at Jersey Joe Walcott. Okay, because we're getting short for time. Jersey Joe. Okay. Good little piece on Jersey Joe. He named himself after Barbados Joe Walcott, fighting in the early 1900s. Jersey Joe's real name was Arnold Crean. Jersey Joe because, he was from New Jersey. Jersey Joe Walcott thought Barbados Joe Walcott was the best fighter ever. Let's take a look at Jersey Joe. That'll be the last thing we do. How great was Jersey Joe Walcott? Glad y'all asked. Let's talk about it. Okay. Wow. Okay. Let's go. Oh no. Stay with me for a minute. Oh, there we go. I can really say I can't read that little writing. I'd be blind by the end of the show. How great was Jersey Joe, though? Arnold Crean. That was his name. Government name. From New Jersey. Home of Just Do Boxing, Ray Patterson. Here's Mr. Crean. Arnold Crean. How great was Jersey Joe Walcott? It's like asking, how great is great? Arnold Crean, who was born in New Jersey and became celebrated as Jersey Joe Walcott, once described how it took him many years in the ring before he earned more than $30. Guys like Crean had it so much unimaginably tougher than today's fighters have it and will ever have it. Okay? But Walcott, who went pro at the young age of 18, had been taking the Joe Walcott name at the courtesy of his boxing hero, Joe Walcott, the Demon of Barbados, went on to befuddle, to bemuse, to outbox many great fighters. During his pro career, which began in September of 1930, Jersey Joe would beat, Willie Reddish, Elmer Violent Ray, Jimmy Bivens, Lee Omer, and Joey Maxson. Now, Jersey Joe would take a number of losses on the way to Tiger Jack Fox. He lost to Ray and the Maxson, to him that he had beat earlier. But finally, after 17 years in the pro ring, Walcott got a shot at the heavyweight title. Joe met Joe, as in Joe Louis, in December of 1947. And Walcott's bag of tricks sent the great and long-serving Brown Bomber into a real state of confusion. Now, Walcott feinted Louis. He made him miss. He stung him with sharp shots. Louis knew at the end of 15 frustrating sessions he had lost the fight, climbing out of the ring before the decision was announced at Madison Square Garden. Yet, the judges had sided with the Brown Bomber, even if the booing crowd had not. And when was the great Joe Louis ever booed, right? And they said that Joe Louis even went over to the corner and apologized to Jersey Joe Walcott after the judges went against him and gave the fight to Joe Louis. He went over there and apologized to Jersey Joe. Joe knew he had lost it. Walcott was robbed, plain and simple. Louis, ever the proud king, gave Jersey Joe a rematch. This time, with Walcott scoring another knockdown to add to the 2 trips he had sent Louis to the mat in the first fight, Louis showed his greatness in pounding out an 11th round knockout win. But Walcott was far from done. With Lewis retiring, Walcott was matched with Ezzard Charles for the vacant crown. Now, Ezzard won a wide decision in June of 1949. Walcott and Charles met again in March 1951, with Charles winning another decision. Then finally, after anyone with a sound mind would have given up on Walcott's chances of ever winning the title, Joe scored one of the most exquisite knockouts ever captured on film in his third battle with Ezzard, this time sending Charles down for the count, courtesy of his educated left hand. Walcott was at last the heavyweight champion. A fourth battle with the Cincinnati Cobra saw Walcott walk away with a 15-round decision win. Then Jersey Joe met the new kid on the block. Enter Rocky Marciano. "If I can't beat this amateur, I'll retire," Jersey Joe said ahead of the September 1952 fight with Rocky. Now, Jersey Joe dropped Rocky hard in the opening round. He proceeded to bust up his challenger, and he was way ahead on points after 12 rounds. But then Rocky, at 43 seconds of the 13th round, went into the history books by way of his Susie Q. Marciano was the new champ, and Walcott at age 38 had a limited future. The rematch came, but this time Rocky savaged Joe in one round, and Walcott retired. His ring career may have been over, but Joe had a few additional strings to his bow: acting, refereeing, even wrestling. Jersey Joe lived in the old age, passing after having led some eventful, colorful, enviable, and fascinating years. And he passed away at the age of 80 in February 1994. Arnold Crean, aka Jersey Joe Walcott, was some fighter, and he was some man. Jersey Joe Walcott, Arnold Crean. Yup, he was a, to answer that question, he was real great. World champion. Beat Joe Louis as a Charles, but he didn't get this. I mean, they robbed him against Joe Louis. I told you Joe Louis went over to him and apologized. And there you have it. We still will do the best welterweight fights next week. We're gonna do a all-time greatest every Tuesday. Pick some different categories. Okay, so we'll save that welterweight one for next week. Okay, but I hope everybody enjoyed today. Let's do boxing is next, and we got the big fight coming up tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, Saturday. Tomorrow is just hump day, right? You got the big fight coming up Saturday. Big fights, because it's a great card. Headlined by David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde. Really headlined by Devin Haney and Brian Norman. That's the one everybody's waiting for and been talking about. So yeah, that is going to be a great show. Appreciate you, Cameron. I mean, a great card. Abdullah Mason on there. I know it's at least 3 championship fights. Might be a few more. I know Beterbiev was on it, but he backed off because I think him and Bivol getting ready to do their trilogy. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Benavidez will probably beat Yarde. Yarde, you know, Benavidez seems like he gets stronger late in fights, and Yarde get weak. So that's not a good matchup. Yarde got to do something early if you're going to do anything. This gas tank fails him a lot. You know, all the muscles and stuff he got, you know. And Benavidez will break him down, get him out of there about 8 or 9, I think. Late rounds. Yeah, I'm going for the stoppage. Abdullah will stop Sam Noakes. Devin and Brian Norman, I don't know. It's a lot. What is? Let's see how that fight starts, and you know, Devin gonna have to maneuver his way through some sticky moments because he ain't gonna be able to run from Norman. This not Jose Ramirez. You're not going to be able to stay away from Norman for 12 rounds. He's going to be in some sticky situations. We just going to have to see if he can work his way to him, you know. Here we go. We got 3 title fights. Oh, 4. Bam on there too. That's 4. All right. You know, we got Benavidez and Yard. We got B. Norman and Devin. Bam and Martinez. Abdullah and Sam Noakes. That's 4 title fights. Yeah, 4 title fights on this card. Wow. It was 5 before Beterbiev got off. Yeah, we got a couple of cards. We got another card for Long Beach, California, Saturday too. And then we have, I think it's another one too. No, yeah, the next one is next Saturday. Yeah, but 2. Yeah, it's it. Somebody named Jimmy Pacquiao. That ain't Manny's son, is it? No, his name is Manuel Pacquiao Jr. I know his son is a fighter. He's in the amateurs. Somebody named Jimmy Pacquiao is fighting next weekend. I don't think that's Manny's son, though. His son is Manuel Pacquiao Jr. I was keeping track of him. I had lost track. He was like 15 fights into his amateur career or something. I think that was like 2023, though. And Manny still trying to fight his son, get ready to turn pro. Anybody know how to spell Pacquiao? I-A-O. Jr. Let's see if we can get a look at Manuel Pacquiao Jr. That's what I said. I said, did you mean Manuel Pacquiao? That's what I put on there. These phones are smart, man. Is that what you mean? Okay, yeah, here's Manny Pacquiao Jr. right here. He's in the amateurs. His record right now is no, it's got to be more than that. 6-4. Wow. He had like 14 fights or something. He must have stopped. No, he just fought April 19th. But he hadn't fought since early 2024. So that's not a lot for an amateur. He's only fought once since April of January 2024. He's only fought one time. So wow. You know, an amateur might fight 5 to 6 times in a year. Wow. That's what it says. He fought January 28th, 2024. Then he fought April 19th for this year. And he ain't no man. Well, amateurs, everybody loses. So 6-4. There's no indication, you know. This level right, this amateur. They look like Manny. I thought he had what? I knew he had 14 or 15, but he's still at 14. Wow. And once since January of last year. Something ain't right for an amateur to be, you know, one time in a year for an amateur? No. Almost 2 years. Because it'll be 2026 in about a month. This is November, almost the end of November. Oh, wow. Yeah, that something ain't right there. He was fighting like that. He had 4 in 2023. He had 1, 2, 3, 4. And 4 in 2022. So he was up at the normal pace that, you know, amateurs fight. But then all of a sudden last year, maybe he got hurt or something. I know he lost that fight. He had 4 straight losses at that point too, so yeah. But he is back in there. He was in there in April of this year, so it might be a minute before we see him at the pro level, though. Yeah. I thought it was getting ready to say 2026, but nah. He ain't doing too good. He lost 4 straight. This is Manuel Pacquiao Jr. Then he had 1 fight in a year at the amateur level. Nah. Apples didn't fall close to the tree. But I appreciate everybody. We're going to be back tomorrow with another one. Hope everybody enjoyed today. So Maybe I got some subscriptions today. Appreciate everybody. Crush the Legend, Cameron Terrell, Mike Mazik, The Drunk Irishman, Ken Soul Love 1, Al Booger, Ray Patterson, Irony Boxing, Mike Rim, Just Do Boxing, and Miss Cass. And remember, we got Just Do Boxing coming up in moments now. 5 moments. In 5 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna get out of here. We'll go listen to Just Do with that balanced, unbiased boxing talk, giving everybody their Just Do. Even clowns like Tia Fremont and Ryan Garcia get their Just Do over at Just Do Boxing. Everybody gets the Just Do over there. Okay? And this is Cass Sports, the Box Historian. Hope everybody enjoyed today's show. And we will be back tomorrow with another one. Because if it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Historian bringing you all that boxing. Everybody have a great afternoon. Appreciate y'all.